You mentioned you were here when we were talking about the drone factory coming in across the street, right? Anybody else here that was... well, it has arrived. The drones have landed right across the street. And, there's some interesting things about this because it seems like we'll do anything for $1. We'll do anything for, as long as we put it under the description of jobs. It doesn't matter how many people die. It doesn't matter whose rights you trample on. If it will bring a job, it's like, okay, that's okay. It's not okay. And this is going to continue until enough people just decide that they've had enough. And it was an interesting experience having, what we have, maybe 100 people here in this room, and then walked around. I know everybody in this room are activists, and all of you have got a lot of courage, you got a lot of guts, but never, never give up. Because I've been persecuted daily in this neighborhood for the fact that I let that event happen. In fact, but that's fine, that's the price of speaking out. But some of the town bosses, he mentioned he was a union organizer, your songs about the same old stuff, goes on and on. Cedar Rapids has about 7 or 8 people who think they're the town bosses, and anybody who goes against them is, and I think we have probably about 95% of the activists in Cedar Rapids are in this room. But somehow they're very angry because a lot of things keep tracing back to this room. There are things that go on in here. Well, about 12 years ago, I came here to this building, and it was all boarded up. People said it was a dangerous neighborhood. It actually statistically had the lowest crime rate in the entire city. But black people happened to live a block or 2 away. And there was this code word that this was dangerous territory. And so there were bars on every single, there was an electronics company here in this building, and there were bars on every single door, every single window. There were electronic surveillance systems. And I'm a native Iowan, but I lived in New York City for 8 years. And in New York City, I just stripped off all my blocks and invited all the people in, and homeless people camped in our living room, and our house was the safest place in the entire city because our whole block watched out for us because it was just an open place. So when we came here, we stripped out all the bars. I had fun stripping out all the electronics and throwing it away, and we just said we're throwing it open to just peace and love, and I grew up in the 60s, so it kind of stuck, I just didn't quite get rid of that attitude. But to make a long story short, about this street was totally run down. It was a neighborhood that was ignored. This street had not been paved for decades, and so a few artists around the neighborhood formed an organization called the New Bohemia Group. Well, after the drone protest, a couple of the bosses in town, there was a little side story. I also went on the radio in Des Moines and mapped out the whole power structure of Cedar Rapids and shared that information. And so one of the bosses here in town sent to the New Bohemia Board of Directors it was a internet recording of that radio program, and the instruction from the boss was, if Richards remains on the New Bohemia Board of Directors, the New Bohemia Art and Cultural District will not see a single penny come in for the art festivals or anything of that type. So they were, it was being banned from, now the good news is the New Bohemia Art and Cultural District Board of Directors, other than one person who happened to work for an organization that this boss controls, they voted unanimously to keep me in after 10 years. So there is hope, there is a little bit of courage, but it sometimes takes all of, like I said, about 95% of the activists are in this room, but it's a light that never ever goes out. One of Martin Luther King Jr.'s statements that I just absolutely live by is, all the darkness in the world can't put out the light of a single candle.